I think sometimes we can get so stuck in our own little worlds and our own little bubble that we forget that we are connected to everything. And I don't know about you, but as I have begun to do that, I have found myself to be more patient and gracious with people. Usually, I put my headphones in the grocery store and I just like mind your business ministries, child. Okay, but I have been intentional about looking my cashier in the eye and saying, how are you? Happy New Year, happy holidays, what's going on in your world? And it has, I have noticed that in doing that the person on the receiving end feels like more than just a person on a job, but someone whose life matters and whose life matters and whose being has a purpose. I've been doing it around the house instead of just like getting into my mom routine or my wife routine, but to recognize that there is a spirit connected to everything that I am in responsibility of taking care of in my life. And so it makes me a more intentional listener, a more compassionate listener. And so I hope that you've done your homework and that you've been working on your meditations, because you want to be a source in your life, right? I want to be a source that other people can tap from. But the reality is sometimes I feel like a limited resource. And because I feel like a limited resource, I don't have a lot of generosity and patience. I don't have a lot of generosity and my connection and love. And so as we continue to center ourselves each and every morning and say to ourselves, you know, God, awaken me to why I'm in this season in my life, awaken me to why I am in this relationship, and allow me to be a servant. And I have been seeing a lot of growth for me personally. And so I kind of want to build off of that subject, and I want to talk about controlling our lives in a way that I know we have a lot of let go and let God, and that is certainly necessary. But even letting go requires a level of control. Where you decide, I am no longer going to hold on to this notion that I have to have things a certain way, but instead I am going to let God be in control. And when we decide to let God be in control, then we have to make sure that our life is being controlled by the notion that God is in control, right? So there will be opportunities that come into your life. I'll give you an example. Okay, so my daughter starts school. We've been out for winter break. She's about to start school. And there's a part of me that feels myself getting into this rhythm, right? But letting go and letting God is taking the opportunity to step back and say to yourself, wait a minute, I don't want to start doing things in my own control and with my own rhythm, because when I get into this rhythm, sometimes life starts picking up and life is moving faster than I can dance. So I am choosing to make every decision, every moment, every meeting, every date night be a result of me choosing to be a result of me choosing to allow God to control what I generally have to put in my own hands. Y'all know me. If you've seen me preach, you know I have to say this thing the way I see it, okay? So ultimately, we are in control of our lives when we have chosen to allow God to control our life. And when we take the situations that we encounter from day to day and bring it into submission with what we have decided to make our life a reflection of. So instead of allowing, letting go and letting God doesn't mean that if a conversation comes to me that I can engage into it because that conversation just came to me, and that must mean that it's meant for me to engage into the conversation. But instead, it means that if this conversation is not a reflection of the direction that I know God is taking me to, then I am controlling that situation and making it submit to the new freedom that I'm hoping to walk in. I hope that that's making sense, because I'm going to keep saying it until I get it out the way I feel like God is giving it to me. Because I feel, for me, and if you're watching and it's resonating with you, perhaps it is for you as well, I feel a responsibility to not allow my life to control me. I've got children, I've got a husband, I have businesses. I'm blessed to connect with people all over the world. And sometimes if I am not careful, my life will begin to dictate to me what I need to become. And instead, I want to dictate to my life what it needs to become. And I cannot do that, one, unless I have a vision. And our vision comes from our time of meditation with God. So when I connect with God in the morning, I create a vision for my life. That vision looks like peace. That vision looks like humility. That vision looks like strength. That vision looks like perseverance. That vision looks like righteousness. That vision looks like respecting one another. That vision looks like forgiveness. Like all of the fruits of the Spirit. That's what that vision looks like. And so when something comes in my direction, I have a responsibility to make sure that whatever it is aligns with that vision. Maybe it's an argument that could be brewing between a friend. Maybe it's a disagreement between my husband and I. Maybe it's some business opportunity that I'm not sure whether or not I can take. The first thing I have to do is compare it to that vision. And when I compare it to that vision, I have to knowingly decide that I am in control of this outcome. Wow. I think that's what I've been trying to say. You have the opportunity day after day after day to be in control of outcomes that we often shrink away from making a decision about because we're afraid of the impact that it may have on the other person, or we have not yet discovered the voice required to attach our vision with our present. But when life presents you with an opportunity to be in control of the outcome, you have to make sure that the outcome is a reflection of where you're headed. When you have a disagreement with your husband, you have the ability to control that outcome. I know it's two people involved, but you know, child, you know that you can say something that escalates the argument. But because I have control of the outcome, I'm not just going to let this flow into what it usually flows into. I'm going to control the outcome. I don't want to talk to you like that. I don't want to get so angry that we can't even engage in respectful discourse. I don't want to feel like my money is in control of me. I'm not going to buy the shoes. I'm saving for the house. I'm not going to go off on the kids because they have no idea what the weight was before I walked into the house. I have control over this outcome. And to refuse to take control of an outcome when you have the ability to is a disservice to God growing on the inside of you. God has given you wisdom. God has given you insight. God has given you experiences, and you are the only one who knows the fullness of what He has been speaking to you. And when you choose to disobey that vision by allowing your frustrations or your fear or your insecurities to not allow you to speak up when you should, then no one is robbed more than you in that moment.